Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my video game award for best game of 2021, and you're probably going to know from the title, from what I've put down there, that we're talking about Metroid Dread. And yes, a game that was simply quite fantastic. Won my game of the year for 2021. I know it's 2022, but now that the year has passed and I've had time to reflect on it and the games that I've played, then I want to talk about Metroid Dread and why it is the game of the year and why I think it's a perfect game. Now, you guys won't know, but I was originally going to put out a review for Metroid Dread. The problem is my writing style takes me far too long to write stuff, so I kind of gave up on it. And I was going to make a video talking about why I think it's a perfect game. But you know what? This opportunity has arisen for me to talk about all of this and why it's my game of the year. And so that's what I'm going to do. If you don't know, Metroid Dread essentially is the newest Metroid game in the long-running franchise from Nintendo. It came out last year, very early on in October, and it blew up for not only for the fans, it was a hugely impressive game for them, massive rave reviews, fantastic, just overall, the positivity about this game. There were a couple of negative things. You may have seen the David Jaffe stuff that blew up, and people roasted him for that, and you know, Metroid is a platform adventure game. I'm going to avoid using the Metroidvania term in this, so you know, yeah, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. I've done a video on that, but yeah, essentially, let's talk about why this game. One, why do I think this game is perfect, and two, you know, why it's my game of the year. 2021 had some great games. We had the new WarioWare, we had obviously Metroid Dread, we had No More Heroes 3, even though I haven't played it, it did come out. So we've had a lot of franchises that I like. So there's a lot of games came out I like. Now Metroid, my history with Metroid is mainly the 2D ones. Those are the ones I like. Zero Mission was my favourite until Dread. Super Metroid I've played, Fusion I've played, the original Metroid 2, Samus Returns, and I have dabbled a little bit in the 3D ones, but primarily the 2D ones are the ones that I enjoyed. Now, when this got shown off at E3, this and Advance Wars were the two biggest moments for me, alongside, I guess, WarioWare, because I didn't expect that to come back so quickly, and it definitely felt like a year for me. Obviously, new Mario Party was good as well, so it felt like Nintendo were crushing it in 2021. And people can say, oh, they didn't have that big game, and I'm like, you know what, sorry, but Metroid is that big game. WarioWare is that big game, and so is Mario Party. But Metroid came, and we saw this incredible, fast-paced 2D game. We saw some amazing marketing material for it. And then when we finally got the game in our hands, and when I finally got to play it, this game just clicked with me. And I beat it in, you know, a day and a half. I couldn't put the bloody thing down. I was like, oh my god, this game is incredible. And the reason why the game is incredible, because it's made by a very passionate team. Now, we're going to get this out of the way now. Mercury Steam are not the best people to work for. It seems from people's accounts they are a bit of a crunch place. But we're not talking about Mercury Steam as a company. We are talking about the graphic designers. We're talking about the people that implemented the controls, the people that implemented the story, the people that are actually passionate about this project, and how this video is basically for them. Like, you guys did an incredible job, right? Every single person that worked on this game, that was passionate about this game, that wasn't upper management and wasn't, you know, not getting credited for their work. Those people, you did a fantastic job. You made the best Metroid game. You made a perfect game. And a lot of people are going to think, well, there's no such thing as a perfect game. This game is that. There aren't many games that I think are perfect. Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Bros. 3, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread feels, right? Let's talk about each individual thing as to why this is my game of the year for 2021. Controls are the absolute best they've ever been in a series. Wall jumping is slightly simplified, so it doesn't feel fiddly. It feels very intuitive. The way Samus moves and reacts to your controls, she feels weighty, she feels fast, very instantaneous. The animation she does on screen implement that even further. You know, she'll go up to you run up to a wall and she'll put a hand like above the hole ready to get in there. She doesn't always have to jump over every little notch. She'll step up. She moves fast anyway without speed booster. You know, she feels fluid. So when you're pushing the direction and you hit that counter button and you do a melee counter and bash through someone and keep running, and then you wall jump and then you jump up, somewhere else, and then you shoot someone because you've been holding down the charge shot the entire time. Everything feels, once you get the feel for those controls and they click, you realise that this was something they spent a lot of time making. And not only that, there were things that I didn't even know you could do with the speed booster that made it even more incredible. Once you get the speed booster, once you're at maximum speed, you can wall jump off a wall and bounce up. You can keep it going. You can store the energy to shine sparks. Some of these things have existed in previous games. But the wall jumping thing surprised me. You can slide in this game, which feels incredible because you don't get the morph ball to start with. And the great thing about that is you can then slide while you've got speed booster. And just the way everything moves and feels. What you do on the controller and the way that it is shown in game with Samus's movement is phenomenal. No game plays better than this in this style of game. These action adventures, these Metroid games, these Castlevania games, the Metroidvanias that are based on these games, all of it. Like, I love this style of game. I've never played a game that handles this well. This game is literally the gold standard for these type of games. Yes, Super Metroid's great, but the controls are aged for its time, right? You remake Super Metroid with these controls, maybe Super Metroid now becomes the greatest Metroid game again ever. On top of that, the way that the game looks and the atmosphere it creates. The environment design is fantastic. The enemy designs, maybe the bosses can be a little bit generic, but generally the other enemies, the environments you're in, everything's designed. It looks really cool. These big epic places. Every area feels different. You know, and that brings the world to life. You feel like you're on this planet. You know, the music, while maybe not my cup of tea, it works, right? Maybe that's where I dock a point from this game. That one solo point. You know, to be like, yes, the music isn't that memorable, but it works, right? They're not trying to replicate all the same music from the old games. Yes, there are those old tunes in here that grab you when they need to. They're used for those emotional moments, but the rest of it's there to do its job to make you feel like you're in these different environments, different areas. The way the enemies are all varied. You know, the way that you interact with things on the background and in the foreground. You know, all of these things culminate into this incredible world that you get to explore. And there are secrets everywhere. On top of that, these are some of the best boss fights in terms of fluidity that I've ever done, ever played. You get to the very first boss fight, you figure them out. It's all about wall jumping and like aiming the gun. And then later on, you've got ones that require you to use space jump. You have ones that require to use speed booster. The final boss fight is one of the best final boss fights I've ever had the pleasure of playing. It was brutal at first, but once I figured it out, I felt like a badass. And that's something this game does incredibly well. This is not a game that's like, hey, you don't know who Samus is. No, this is a game where Samus is an absolute veteran in this game. She is portrayed as a badass in every cutscene. The way that she defeats bosses, the way the game ends with her, just her personality, her character, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so incredible. Like, that also makes you feel like a badass. There are parts of this that, like, the story beats, there are two major story beats that happen in this, and it hits like a truck, like massive surprises. Like, this game's pacing as well, the way that you get your abilities quite quickly. But everyone plays the game at different speed. You can do this game in 10 hours. You can do this game in 4 hours. You can do it in less than that. The game has sequence breaks and stuff. Like, there's so many things about this game that just... This is a very special game. To me personally, anyway. This is a very special game. This game, added... It feels like a Metroid game, and it added enough to feel like a fresh Metroid game. Yes, it's still following that standard genre. But there's no, spoilers right now, okay? There is no Ridley fight, which is, just doesn't happen a lot in Metroid. Kraid was obviously fun bringing him back. I don't know if there was a reason to, but hey, it was cool. But like, the new upgrades, essentially the Storm Missile or whatever it's called, like the multi-lock-on missile, the ability to slide, the extra Aeon abilities, like the sort of warping ability around, the invisibility, these new abilities they've added in are super cool. Like, yeah, you got your standards, you got your standard missiles and your supers and your ice missiles and things like that, but also there's not a single Metroid in the game. That's what's so cool. They did enough here to make this feel fresh, make this feel like what people like about Metroid, and enough freshness to do it. Yeah, there's some voice acting, a little bit by Samus, primarily by Adam, or what's his the main Raven Beak, but that's debatable whether that was him the entire game. That's something else I'm not going into. But the story, the two major things, fighting X again on this, that was like incredible. And also Samus speaking and learning more about the Chozo and interacting with them. Like, it's just the story part of this. You don't get a lot of it, but it pushes you forward. And when you do get it, oh my god, the payoff. The fans of this, like, oh man, you get the beginning, the middle, and the end. That's what you get. And it all comes together beautifully. Yeah, the game does end very abruptly, I'll give you that. But, oh my god. Another thing, the difficulty of this game. Look, okay, this is about pattern recognition. This is about learning the things. And overall, I don't think the game is super tough. But if you're new to this series, it's not going to hold your hand. This is a game for the veterans. They made this for people who want to see the end of this arc. And that's brilliant. I love it. The ME themselves, the ME sections, some of the best sections in the game. These make this idea that you have to go through these areas multiple times, and you have this very intense couple of rooms, and you're trying to avoid the ME, and hide from it and deal with it, and you know that you can't defeat it. And then when you finally get the abilities to defeat it, and then you gain abilities from those like Wave Beam, and Morph Ball, and all these other things. Like, each one you encounter has a new ability. Like, so well put together. Everything of this just culminates into a game that I absolutely fell in love with. I've streamed it, I've played it a couple times through. Like, I think this game is fantastic. I personally put this in my list of perfect games, right? Like I said, this is up there with Super Mario Bros. 3 with me, up there with Donkey Kong Country, Smash Brothers. The thing to bear in mind is, just because I say a game is perfect to me doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect to you, and that is fine. I will ignore someone else's opinion when I think a game is this good. Right? People can say that, oh, there might be flaws with it. No, in this instance, this is a game that is my game of 2021, and it is perfect to me. Right? If there were issues with the controls, if there were, other issues with pacing or some of the boss design, like, sure, fair enough. But right now, this is going up there in that category that doesn't happen very often, and it is a perfect game. And it is my game of 2021, and I hope anyone who hasn't played Metroid Dread, give this game a shot. This game deserves all the love and attention. This game has done very well in sales. Metroid deserves better than it has, and I really hope Nintendo thinks and realizes that people want to play it. You owe it to yourself to play this game. It is a fantastic game. It's significantly cheaper now. It's about £35 on Amazon in the UK, and that is an absolute steal for one of the best games. Probably one of the best games I've ever played, honestly. And I can't wait to see what next we have for Metroid. I know Metroid Prime 4 is coming, but in terms of 2D, I can't wait to see what's next. And I'm very excited. So let's see what 2022 brings. Obviously, Advance Wars got delayed. Advance Wars probably would have been my game of the year, but you know what? We got a few more months to wait, and then Advance Wars is out, and I really hope that does what Metroid Dread has done for me, and I am very excited. So there's a very good chance this time next year I'm going to be sat here telling you that my game of 2022 is Advance Wars. But let's see what comes of the year. But yeah, for those who haven't played Metroid Dread, go and play it. For those who have played it, this is an experience that has been fantastic, and I hope everyone's loved it. And yeah, that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. As always, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down in the description as always. And until next video, I will see you then.